In this video, I will show you everything you need to know about creating and saving Fusion effects with built-in duration control. And it doesn't matter if you are using a Fusion composition or an adjustment clip. We will cover both step by step. So let's create this text effect on a Fusion composition and save it as a macro. I will drop a Fusion comp on the timeline. By default, it's 5 seconds long. I will adjust its length based on how long this motion graphic needs to be. This also means my GPU has fewer frames to render, which is always a good thing. Now I will open it in Fusion. You already see a media out node there. I will grab a background node and connect it to media out. Now we have a black canvas to work on. I will grab a text node and type some text. To make it part of the design, we need a merge node. I will select the background node and click on merge. Now I will plug the text node into the green input of the merge so we can actually see the text. Style the text however you like. Now let's animate it. Add frame 0, under layout, add a keyframe on center, move forward 5 frames and move the text up just a tiny bit. Then move forward about 7 or 8 frames and bring the text down, slightly lower than where it started. A few frames forward, move it up again, but not as high as the first bounce. And finally, about 8 frames forward, bring it down just a little bit. Now open the spline editor, click Show Only Selected Tools, make sure the text node is selected, hit Zoom to fit. I can select all the keyframes and press S to smooth the motion, but for a more realistic bounce, I will tweak the curve handles manually. And if moving one handle affects the other, just hold Command or Control to adjust them independently. Now let's add an out animation. First, I will check where the in animation ends. In this case, it's around frame 30. So I'll move about 15 frames forward and add a keyframe on center. Then 8 frames forward, I will move the text upward. Then 10 frames forward, I will bring the text down quite a bit. Open the spline editor and smooth the curves for the out animation too. To hide the text at the end, I will grab a rectangle mask, resize it so it covers the text, connect it to the blue input of the text node, and check invert. Let's preview it. So far so good. Now here is the fun part. We don't need to repeat all this work for the second text. I will just copy the text node, paste it, and connect its output to the output of the previous merge. Fusion automatically adds a merge for us. I will change the text and place it right after the first one. Right now, both texts animate exactly the same, and that looks boring. So I will select a second text node, open the keyframes editor, make sure Show Only Selected Tools is on, and hit Zoom to fit. Now I will drag this bar about 3 frames to the right. You will see a number on the left showing exactly how many frames it moved. Before we preview, I will give the second text a rectangle mask as well. I can either copy and paste the mask, or even better, I can ask text 1 to share its mask with text 2. Let's take a look. That looks pretty good. Now let's add auto duration control. I will select the final merge node, do Shift plus space thing, and add a keyframe stretcher. Now this part is crucial. In the inspector, I will set source added to the total duration of the comp. In this case, it's 70 frames. Next, I will find where the in animation ends. That's frame 35. So I will type 36 in the stretch start. Then I will find where the out animation begins. That's frame 44. So I will type 43 in the stretch end. Now let's test it in the edit page. Boom, the text effect now has built-in auto duration control. Now let's save this Fusion effect the right way. This section is actually a complete guide on how to save Fusion effects properly. First, I will select the background node and set alpha to 0. Before creating any macro, always ask yourself one question. What controls do I actually need to expose? Then select your main nodes in the exact same order you want them to appear in the inspector. So in this case, we only need controls from these 2 text nodes. We don't need to expose anything from the keyframe stretcher because its effect is already baked into the comp. You can hold Command or Control to select the nodes in order, but I personally like reorganizing the nodes tree so the important nodes are stacked top to bottom, then selecting them in that order. Once that's done, I will right-click any node, go to Macro, and choose Create Macro. I'll give it a name. This window might look scary, but it's actually very simple. If you collapse the first node on the left, you will see it's just a list of nodes of your composition. When you expand a node, you will see all its controls. Fusion is simply asking, which controls do you want in the macro inspector? From the first text node, under the text tab, I will expose only the essential controls. This is very important. Do not clutter your macro inspector. Expose only what really matters. I will expose the same controls for the second text node. Then I will right click and save as group. Make sure you save it in the templates, edit, titles folder. Now let's test the macro. If you don't see it right away, just restart Resolve. It works perfectly, and the inspector looks nice and clean. Here's a quick tip. If you ever need to tweak something that isn't exposed, just right-click the macro and open it in Fusion. Double-click the macro and full node tree unlocks. At this point, you can clearly see that the adjustment clips are no match for macros when it comes to text effects. Now, if you have already built text effects on adjustment clips and want to turn them into macros, this next part will save you a ton of trouble. I have dropped an adjustment clip here and built the same effect on it. Now I will try to turn it into a macro. The only visual difference is that instead of a background node, we have a media in node at the start. So the question is, should we include media in when creating the macro? Let's test it. I will select all the nodes except media out and create a quick test macro. I will save it in a titles folder and let's check it. Something is clearly wrong. That makes sense. Resolve is expecting media input for the macro, and there is no proper alpha channel. If I save it without the media in node, same problem. So here is the simplest fix. Disconnect the media in node, add a background node, and plug it into the node tree. Set alpha to 0. Now select all the nodes except media out in a logical order. Go to macro, create macro. Expose only essential controls and save it in the titles folder. Let's test it. It works. If this was helpful, give video a like and subscribe.